Good afternoon and welcome to the City Council closed session meeting of Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. I now call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please do the roll call?
Mr. Mayor, the record will reflect that all council is present except for council members Marr, Harper, and Gameros.
Okay. And so now it's time for public comments with Mr. D'Alessio. So you have the floor, sir.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, Honorable Council, again, I want to thank you for considering my plight here. I just want to point out that I think in this situation with Wallace, the receiver isn't doing any of us any good on this particular property. I think there's been 60 or 80 or 90 police calls, vandalism, fires. The neighbors are all upset. The windows are all broken. It wasn't like that when I had control of the property. But bigger than all that is this receiver doesn't understand the law. And, you know, it's hard to tell people that doesn't understand it, but the fact is, in that area, in Costa Mesa, we've got a general plan that allows for 9 units. We have a zoning code that says 6 units. So you know that the general plan would rule. So that would give it 9 units. Then when you talk about bonus density laws that just pass everything else, you can do 50% or 100% if you designate low income. So that pops it up to 15 units right there. And then if you add ADUs at 25%, you're upwards of 20 units. And we're talking about, we have an SB 330 plan in the city for over a year. And it calls for 14 units, as it has always been. So this whole nonsense that started shouldn't have actually started because the number of units were appropriate at the time. This has gone on and on, police reports, all these problems, and it's crazy. With regard to 1777 and 440, I sold those 2 buildings. I had enough of that, right? No more fighting. I put to you an offer to settle this whole thing, to put this to bed, and then hopefully you will accept that offer, and we'll go into SB 330. We'll look at those plans, get them approved, get the public comments, or the city comments, and we can move on. Thank you.
Right, thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, it's time to read the titles.
If you'd like to speak on closed session items on Zoom, please raise your hand.
I'm sorry, there's someone on Zoom?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Okay, you may speak.
All right, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right, excellent. Thank you for letting me know that I need to raise my hand. Good afternoon. My name's Grant Hermes. I represent Mr. D'Alessio in the pending litigation in 440 with respect to items 5 and 6 on the agenda, the 440 Fair Drive and 1779 Newport Boulevard. Mr. D'Alessio asked me to speak tonight briefly just to provide a brief update on the pending litigation in these 2 properties. I spoke previously at a prior hearing on January 16th, and since then, the council's aware that Mr. D'Alessio, he no longer owns these properties. He has no involvement with them, and he's trying to resolve this with the city. And as he mentioned, he's made an effort and made an offer to reach a global resolution. And unfortunately, the litigation and the prosecution of the 440 and 1779 Newport Boulevard cases continues despite the attempts to settle, and also despite the sheer fact that Mr. D'Alessio no longer owns the properties. We had a hearing with the court a few months ago, and the court agreed that the city's complaint as it related to these two properties was so uncertain that it needed to be amended. And just for reference, this complaint was 75 pages long, 160 something paragraphs of allegations. I've been practicing law for over 10 years, and I've probably never seen a complaint this long, this confusing, or even this complicated. And I can't even imagine the amount of attorney's fees and hours that it must have been spent to be able to draft something of this nature, that's not even comprehensible, and that the court is asking the city to amend, which it has. But I think this kind of this goes to the fact that, or this exemplifies the fact that I'm not sure what the disconnect is between the attempts to try to resolve this by Mr. D'Alessio and the prosecution and the litigation that goes on. Mr. D'Alessio no longer owns these properties, as I mentioned, but now the narrative in this litigation has shifted to, well, he may still control, or he may still manage, or he may still have some hands in the involvement of the tenants that are at these properties, whether it's the allegations of the marijuana related to the marijuana or the massage businesses. And I don't understand why the litigation has continued in the fashion that it has.
Excuse me, that's your 3 minutes.
Thank you.
You bet, thank you. Anybody else on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we will then close public comments, and now you can read the titles, please.
All of the seven closed session items are conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to California Government Code Section 54956.9D1, name of case SoCal Recovery versus City of Costa Mesa, name of case Raw Recovery versus City of Costa Mesa, name of case City of Costa Mesa versus Ohio House, et al. Number 4, name of case, Insight Psychology and Addiction versus City of Costa Mesa. Number 5, City of Costa Mesa, People of State of California versus D'Alessio Investments, 440 Fair Drive and 1779 Newport Boulevard. Item 6, name of case D'Alessio Investments versus City of Costa Mesa. Item 7, name of case City of Costa Mesa versus D'Alessio, 1963 Wallace Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to adjourn to the community room for our closed session.